He's a 70-year-old doctor.
Right.
Will you show me your rules and regulations written in the truth? I wish to pay my taxes to the Internal Revenue Service with the correct language.
Right.
Instead, they threw him in jail and said, you will submit to our jurisdiction or we will hold you in contempt until you do.
Yeah,
and he says, well,
familiar.
Show me your contract. Show me your authorization. Show me who you are. And they said, we don't have to.
Yeah.
You know, I'll tell you a story.
That's
this
arrogant.
was back way back in the 20s.
Yeah.
Al Capone walks up to the storekeeper and says, hey, you got to buy my fire insurance. And the storekeeper goes, And the good storekeeper goes, well, I don't need it. I got fire insurance. Well, that night his building burns down, and Al Capone shows up the next day and says, hey, I told you to buy my fire insurance. And he goes to the guy next door and he says, hey, buy my fire insurance. He says, the guy next door didn't want to buy my fire insurance. His place burned down because he wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Well, the IRS has put Al Capone in jail and then turned around and used his procedures to hoodwink America in the same format.
That's so
you see,
true.
I'm not here to point the finger at America. I'm not here to say the court system did it wrong or to embarrass the United States government. Well, they want to be the world police officers. So my question to you is, if you're going to be the leader, then lead with the correct sentence structure. Lead with the correct contracts. Lead where people are going to respect the rules and regulations because they are written with the correct sentence structure, and there isn't any debate as to how to do it.
Right.
Everything is subjective interpretation, which means no contract interpretation, because they want their job security. 1.6 million attorneys and 11,000 judges who all write in adverb verb, say nothing to people who can't read and write, and they charge between $150 and $500 an hour for the privilege of saying nothing. That's why the court calls people pro se's, and pro is Latin for no, and sa is Latin for speak.
No.
And everyone wants to go into court and see justice.
Right.
JU means outlaw or no law. S is the abbreviation for speak. TI is title, and CE is judge. Judge title speaks no law, or judge title speaks outlaw.
Wow.
Because he modifies, creates perjury, and says nothing to an individual who can't understand. Why can't he understand? Because he's in a foreign court with foreign vessels and foreign paperwork, and under the broad-based discretion of Title 28, 2072, we can't understand anything, so we get to determine everything.
Yeah. So do you see any kind of a trend that's moving more in the legal judicial system in your direction, or you're just getting I know you have a lot of people out there that'll help people, and we'll get into the contact information later, but do you see any kind of, is anybody getting the message of what you're saying out
Yes.
They are.
We have over 200 million students worldwide that have downloaded my website.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That means people are studying. People wake up in the morning, they roll over and they say, we're not in Kansas, Toto. This don't feel right.
So
and now they're going out and they're finally looking for answers. And the more they study, they exponentially teach each other and say, hey, you got to look at this website. You got to see that it's all about the procedures of communication. It's not about a one person. It's not about a country. It's not about a race of a person or the sex of a person. It's about the ability to write a contract with the correct sentence structure. And when I went looking for the procedures of language, the procedures of what is an adverb? Well, an adverb is a modifier of another adverb, the modifier of an adjective, the modifier of a pronoun in front of it, and the modifier of a verb. And if you're going to modify, that means you're going to change. Well, if you're going to change something, it's no longer a fact. So therefore, you're no longer in the truth, you're in fiction. Now, if we then look
at Harvard Law School, you must be having some influence on some of these schools that attorneys attend to obtain their degree so they can practice law and pass the bar. What's happening there with what you're doing?
Well, I did a seminar in San Francisco, and there were 60 people taking the bar exam in the room right next to me where I was doing my seminar, and I have a loud voice, and they overheard me.
Yeah.
Well, they went ahead when they got done with their exam. They all sat down in the hallway. I mean, you mind, 60 people are sitting in the hall while I'm talking. We got our doors open.
Yeah.
And they're listening to 4 hours of me disqualify their occupation for adverb fiction. And these people are sitting out there between the ages of 23 and about 28, and they're crying, men and women. They're all crying,
going to take this test. Now they're hearing you.
Right. They realize we just certified ourselves to be liars. What are we going to do with the rest of our life?
Oh my God. We
just spent $140,000 on a 6-year college education and become a lawyer, and all we did is became a liar because we modify language.
So what was the comment? Did you get some feedback or what?
Well, no, I left town after that. I was finishing up the seminar. I invited everyone to come in, and there's been repercussions all throughout the system where people, every time they see a prepositional phrase, they run away. You know, when students ask their English teachers, are you going to teach us about prepositional phrases and correct sentence structures, they're suspended from school?
No, I didn't know that. Because I was grilled on that when I was a kid. I had to learn that stuff. I don't know it like you do, but I mean...
So did I.
Yeah. Wow.
But you know, the phraseology, you have a preposition, an article, and a noun, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, the word preposition, pre means no in position. So you have no contract.
Right.
Okay, the next word is the article, a vowel and 2 consonants, A-R-T. So therefore, the word article should be the command word or the loadial to certify the noun. How do you spell noun? N-O-U-N, no-no?
Right.
So you have no contract of no ownership to make a no-no.
Sounds like some baby crawling at 2 years old. No-no.
So they created the prepositional phrase, used no contract words. They used words in the future time, in the past time, above the plane and below the plane, but they avoid now time jurisdiction at all costs. The entire English worldwide, practices this technology of fiction.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
and you know, it's all languages. When we do the translations, are obstructed. Now, my website is written in French, German, Spanish, Italian, and English, but it's done quantumized. So the translation between one language and another is not obstructed.
Now, that's a very good point, because half the time, especially Japanese, Chinese to English, it's absurd what the translation is, let alone the language being no good in the first place.
When I sit down with people that are translators, the only thing I need to know is 4 prepositions. For, of, with, and by.
For, of, with, and by?
Right.
Okay.
For is a cause, of is the effect, with is the possession, by is the authorization.
Oh, interesting. For.
Okay, now, with these 4 prepositions, I now can go back and assimilate the articles, or what we call the loadial, or ownership.
Right.
We've got a, we've got the, we got these, and we got this.
Yeah.
On special occasions, I'll use the word our if I'm going to use a general term, or I'll use the word my if we're going to use a general term. But anything that's specific will always be used in first person specific. I don't allow any pronouns or guesswork to be used in my language. When I get with a foreign language and I know what their prepositions and articles are,
right.
Then the nouns, what is a pencil? Well, I can hold up a pencil, and 5,000 people, 5,000 different languages can tell me what the name of that object is, and I can translate it, now using their preposition, their article, and identifying that fact. Now I have a position, loadial, fact, phrase. And I've articulated in now-time jurisdiction, and therefore I can write a quantum sentence. The odds of writing a correct quantum sentence are 1 in 100 million.
Wow.
All of my sentences are accurate.
Yeah.
The sentence structure of the fiction is 200% fraud. Not only do they have every single word misrepresented,